June 30th, 1994, a woman and her two nephews roamed Crescent Beach in Rhode Island. Buried treasure was the children's goal.
Losing objective Baker.
What they found instead seemed to have been buried alive.
Losing objective Baker.
Detective Arthur Clark of the East Providence Police Department was called to investigate the buried woman at the beach. The scene was more reminiscent of a Stephen King novel than anything the veteran detective had seen in person.
Taking Baker.
2 feet beneath the surface lay a woman in a red satin cocktail dress. Her life had been ended by multiple blows to the
Baker
head.
knocked down.
We arrived on the scene about 10:15. We verified they were human arms. His hand body was buried in a shallow grave. We notified the medical examiner's office who responded.
They're
The victim's
taking
arms
Abel.
jutted out from beneath the sand, her hands clawing skyward in what seemed a final grasp for life.
Abel
It
is
seemed
lost.
unlikely that she'd been buried alive. The victim wouldn't have the strength to push her hands up through the sand.
Abel is out.
Someone had posed her into this final it was seen from a horror film. The killer seemed to be
Ready for report.
but his message was expired. A circular pattern had been pressed into the sand around the body. In it
Friendly
lay a
glide bomber
shattered
incoming.
face, its hands closed in mid. But for detectives, time raced forward. It seemed that some sort of grotesque ritual was performed here. They feared it could be the beginning of killings to come. They needed to work quickly before this killer struck again. At this early stage of the vital clues might be masquerading as common trash. Cigarette butts, candy wrappers, and plastic cups were collected from the scene, along with samples of sand from both the surface and the bottom of the grave.
With Ralph it's easy to get your special holiday food brought right to your door. And that's music to your ears. Ralph's fresh for everyone.
Charlie is overrun.
They're not gonna be any good by the end of 9 pounds.
Hey, this is Nate Robinson, Flash Sports Movie Marathon. Tonight at 7 p.m.
All wait for this.
1, 2, 3.
It's here.
Sports Movie Marathons. Tonight at 7 p.m. on Pluto TV Sports.
What was your feeling? Wow, you're so beautiful.
She's got a Mr. Daddy.
Seal tape has a long face.
Abel is overrun.
Time to go.
Road's on fire again.
Taking Abel.
New season of Seal Team. Now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. This is a company channel.
We've taken all
This is
the damage.
incarceration.
Hold those positions.
20,000 lost souls. And down their link on the life rack. On the mayor of Kingston. Mayor of Kingston on a new series channel. TV exclusively
Losing
on
objective
Paramount
Abel.
Plus.
Here we go.
Abel is overrun.
There it is.
Here we go.
At the time,
It's almost over. Let's bring this
what
home.
was evidence and what was not. So, on the side of caution, we collected
All objectives
what
secure.
ended up
Dig
being
in.
evidence.
But before Clark could make sense of the eerie spectacle, he'd have to learn more about the
Charlie
victim.
is lost.
He didn't have to look far.
At around
Yeesh.
missing woman was 30-year-old Kendra Hutter. From a photograph, Clark recognized her as the murder victim. According to her husband, Kendra and he
Okay, you watching?
enemies than lovers. Beyond the facade of domestic contentment dwelt a loveless marriage, bound together by financial need.
Hotbox? Oh,
They agreed to date other people.
hell yeah.
Christopher Hutter told police that Kendra had a date the night she died.
Yes.
Police later learned she met him through a personal ad. The divorced white male described himself as a cheerful, attractive father. Hoping to add a dash of romance to her life, she contacted him and they arranged for a date. On the night of June 29th, Kendra scribbled the man's name and phone number for her husband. The card read, Gary. Detective Clark identified Gary as Gary Tassone, a truck driver who lived with his mother and brother in Cumberland. He told police that he'd had 3 dates with Kendra Hutter, but denied having been with her on the night of her murder. The personable Tassone did his best to help Clark, telling police that he knew Kendra and her husband were When Tassone told Clark he'd been to the beach when the body was found, Clark asked him to come to the station to continue questioning.
After taking his first statement,
What?
there was
You want your mama?
Your
mom.
and what he told us and what we had learned up until then.
In an interview with police, recreated here, Tassone adamantly denied having been with Kendra Hutter the night of the murder. As the interview wore on, however, he revised his story. He admitted he'd been on a date with her that night, but dropped her off around 11 o'clock. But that contradicted what Kendra's husband reported. According to him, Kendra never made it home that night. As far as they could tell, Tassone was the last person to see the victim alive. The detectives pressed on.
Detective Billadou and I spoke to him on and off for about 4 hours that evening. He never displayed any signs of emotion. He spoke very well. He was articulate, polite, cool, calm. He was not nervous at all. Pretty just matter of fact.
Clark continued to question Tassone. As the interview moved into its mid-to-late hour, Tassone did not confident. He and Kendra had been building sandcastles when a noise startled him, causing him to inadvertently strike her in the head. In a panic, he buried the body in the sand.
Ready for report.
Considering the extent of Kendra Hutter's injuries, 7 strikes to the head, Clark rechallenged the story. Without question,
Hostile
detectives
Goliath
lied
on the
that
crawl.
the victim was killed intentionally.
We don't know why she was murdered, but it was no accident.
On the surface, it seemed that Tassone was beginning to cooperate, but his statement made no sense, and Clark didn't know what to make of it. The tale of accidental death was far-fetched and implausible, but probably reflected a skewed version.
Ready for report.
From what Clark had already learned of the case, Tassone strengthened his narrative with blatant lies. The resulting story was more confusion than confession. The only comfort seemed he'd have the case sewn up. confession. He had the alleged murder weapon. He
Message.
had a suspect who linked the two together. But Clark had some unlikely story to place him in the crime scene.
New intel, ready for report. Double kill.
To make the charges stick, he needed to construct a good account of what happened. Armed with a warrant, police searched Soames' car. The findings were slim, amounting to little more than a scattering of sand. It seemed Clark had found all the evidence there was to find. It was time to go.
That's a kill confirmed for you.
But at the start of the criminal trial in January of 1997, Soames
No
began to
biggie.
backpedal. Admitting to a victim confession in exchange for immunity, Tasson recanted his story and explained away the sand in his trunk as having come from an evening with another woman at the beach. The shovel, he said, was just a shovel. Police couldn't disprove it. Suddenly, Detective Clark found the tide was turning against him.
Superman just about sleeps in her cave.
Realized she was battling sensitive skin. We switched to Tide Hygienic Clean Free.
Friendly, sending a glide bomb. It's a bleeding embarrassment. Enemy care package inbound.
Linked Tasson to the crime scene, Clark found the evidence. But all he had was a handful of sand. Clark knew the answer was written here,
Enemy glide
but he
bomb
wasn't able
inbound.
to read it. To build a case on such unusual evidence, he had to audit the expert.
Well, as planned.
Your mama said your face is ugly.
Slice.